Our first speaker for the evening, Paul Marnie. What's in a name? Paul Marnie.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Mr. Toastmaster, yes, fellow Toastmasters. As you just heard, and as many of you already know, my name is Paul Marnie. Apart from the fact that it belongs to a dynamic and exciting individual, is there anything particularly interesting about that name? Can I give you a hint? Is there anything interesting now?
Yes, there is.
That's good. Would you like me to tell you?
E.
Sorry,
No
what was
E.
that? There's no E. Excellent. Thank you very much. There is no E in Marnie. You see, I've grown up my whole life saying, no, there's no E in it. Because almost invariably when people ask me my name and I say Marnie, if they don't say, oh, M-A-R-N-I-E, they'll say M-A-H-O-N-E-Y. No, there's no E in it. I got so tired of this that a few years ago I started a campaign to ban the letter E from the language. And this has gained some momentum, ladies and gentlemen. What I did, I thought we have to have an alternative. If we can't have E in the language, well, we have to come up with an alternative. So what I did, I took names that were familiar to me, and I thought, okay, there's E's in that name, what can we use instead? Now, a former president of this very club was named Ken Spencer. Now, that's problematic, as you can see, 3 E's in that name. And what I found was by applying a process, we could find out more about a person's heritage. And what I did with Ken's name, I threw out the E's, I replaced them with I's. And Ken Spencer became Ken Spencer. Now, he thought his background was English, but can anybody tell me what else was in there? New Zealand. Excellent. That's exactly right. Ken discovered through my process that he had some New Zealand background as well. A lady I used to work with was named Sue Smith. Now, I applied my process and I discovered something very interesting about Sue Smith. It's interesting that we spoke about American Indians on the beach tonight because we discovered that Sue was part of the Sioux tribe of American Indians. She had no idea. You can see the value that I was adding here. Now, I've had a think about our own members, and I've started at the very top. Now, our president, Jean Jelly, another name, coincidentally with 3 E's. A simple solution, Jean. I'd like you to meet our new president, Mrs. Jelly. I love the name. Janet, you don't mind, do you love that?
No.
And Keith, well now you are Jan's, as we know, Jan's husband, Keith Jelly. Now I don't know about you, but I think there is a bit of Zimbabwe and South African in that. I think that's just proving a point. Now, our Toastmaster this evening, well, he has a surname that starts with the dreaded E. Now, I'd like you to meet Greg Edmonds. A bit more New Zealand in there.
South African.
If you like, I won't argue the point. And Greg's wife, Carol Edmonds. Hello, Carol. How are you, Mrs. Edmonds? Now, this didn't stop with Toastmasters. This process has gone overseas into the highest level of politics. I'd like to take you to America. Let's go back to 1989, the election of George Bush Sr. Now, George, that name is also problematic. There are 2 E's in the one name. Now, what I've discovered, when there are 2 E's in the one name, it's a little bit like a magnifying effect, like binoculars or strong glasses. You see? See what I mean? The problems that come with the letter E are magnified. Now, what was the result of that? Well, George Bush Sr. one of the very, very few American presidents to only have served one term as president. It was the letters E that were the problem. Now, the Democrats realised this. The next election, their candidate was Bill Clinton. Can anybody see an E or hear of an E in Bill Clinton's name? No, the Democrats realised this. He stood for 2 terms. He was replaced by George W. Bush. And yes, I know, he stood for 2 terms. But by the end of his 2nd term, he was the most unpopular president in American history. It's the E's. It's obvious. And the Democrats hadn't forgotten. Who did they put up as their candidate? Barack Obama. Is there an E anywhere there? But by now the Republicans had learned their candidate was John McCain. And his vice presidential running mate was Sarah Palin. She realised this to such an extent, she's just recently applied for a trademark on her name. Because she knows there are no E's in this name, I'm going to hang on to this. Now, in Australian politics, very, very similar story. 1989, the 2nd longest serving Prime Minister in Australian history was elected, John Howard. No E's. Who replaced him? Kevin, K-E-V-I-N, Rudd. And what happened to Kevin Rudd? He didn't even survive 1 term before he was deposed. And who replaced him? They've learned by now, Julia Gillard. And who's the opposition leader? Tony Abbott. You see, ladies and gentlemen, my theory has taken over the world of politics. But let me bring you back to our humble little, our Sandbelt Toastmasters Club in Morris. In the not too distant past, I applied this process again. And I'm sorry to tell you that I've uncovered a dastardly plot involving this very thing. The plot has been aimed to bring the global financial system to its knees, ladies and gentlemen, to its knees. A former recent president of this club, who left in mysterious circumstances to return to the United Kingdom, was named Dave Stokes. I applied my theory, ladies and gentlemen. And Dave Stokes' name became Dave Stocks. Now, what's the significance of that? Well, with some slight further manipulation, Dave became Dave Stocks, S-T-O-C-K-S. His name was S-T-O-K-E-S. Now, what's the significance of this? Well, the stocks symbolise the stock market, ladies and gentlemen, the stock market. I was developing some concerns, and I did ask Dave if I could speak to him about these concerns, and this is the response I got. I took a photograph. Now, apart from the fact that Dave needs to do something about his shirts and ties, this is the response I got. He would not discuss it, ladies and gentlemen. Because I was concerned about the connection, the similarity to a certain company. A company, I don't know if anybody remembers the dot-com boom of early 2000 or late 1999, 2000, when the Australian and global stock markets skyrocketed, all on the back of information and internet technology. It was called the dot-com boom, but it busted in early 2000. Now, the biggest high flyer in Australia was a company called DavNet Limited. DavNet shares rose from 4 cents to $10 in a very short time, and went back again also in a very short time. What I discovered was a plot to increase share prices and manipulate the stock market, where the plotters would cash in at the top, get out and leave everybody else in ruins. Now, this plot involved the worlds of international sport, politics and high finance. In terms of sport, a key player, ladies and gentlemen, was Mr. not Dave, Dav Watmore, who's a former Victorian cricketer. In fact, he played 7 tests for Australia. Now, Dav Watmore is now retired, but he also had a strong connection with the stock market. Dav was Sri Lankan by birth. His father was one of the most successful stockbrokers in Colombo, Australia. And his father's clients would ring him at the end of every day. And his name at that time was not Watmore. But what happened was, you ask what's your name? What happened was his clients would ring him at the end of every trading day. And they'd ring and say, how have we gone today? And his dad would say, we made more money. And I'd say, what, more? And the next day, they'd ring, how do we go, how do we go? We've made more money. What, more? And this happened day after day after day until he decided, I'm changing my name, I'm now Watmore. And Dad took on the name Watmore. Now he came to Australia, and there's a link here, ladies and gentlemen. You'll notice, of course, the men all have, and the company all had Dav in their name. Dav Stocks through my process. There's another strong link with the letter V, you see, because V symbolises the state that we're all in, Victoria. Do you see the link here? Now there's an even stronger link here to Victoria. Who is the greatest cricketer this country, or this state, has ever produced? One Shane Keith Warne. Now we did try to soften the E a little bit by throwing an I in, and he became Warney, as we all know. But what do the letters WAP, W-A-P, signify? Well, let's go back to the .com boom. WAP, WAP, stood for Wireless Application Protocol. This was the technology which allowed wireless computers and mobile phones, ladies and gentlemen, and text messages. Now, you wonder why Shane is such an expert at text messages. Well, these plotters had a process where Dad Watmore was a huge hitter of the ball. And I did tell you about the DABnet stock price, which went up and down. Dad could hit sixes at will. He could hit them along fours along the ground at will. Shane Warne, who was an up-and-coming young cricketer at the time, would sit in the stand with this new technology, these prototypes of mobile phones, and watch how Dad was playing that day. Dad would send him signals by the way he hit the ball. And if he hit a big six with a huge arc, out the ground, that was symbolising the stock price going up and down. If it was along the ground all day, there was nothing much happening. These plotters, ladies and gentlemen, manipulated the stock market this way and caused a .com crash, which eventually led to the global financial crisis. Dav Stocks, I understand, was recalled to the UK by his employer. He was a member of a rogue cell within the British spy agency MI5. Dav told us he was heading back for a promotion with his company. Well, his company or organisation was MI5, ladies and gentlemen. And it didn't all stop there. The mastermind behind all of this is a man who, in the New Statesman magazine, one year, rated the 11th most influential person in the world. That man, ladies and gentlemen, is the current Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. In fact, he's pronounced it Benjamin Netanyahu. Now think back to what I've told you tonight. Think back to the connection to the .com boom, the technology boom, the internet. What do we call the internet? What's the short term for the internet? Can anybody tell me? The web. But we call it the net as well. What's one of the most prominent companies in internet technology? One of the most prominent search engines? Yahoo. Yahoo, thank you, Gary. Gary understands where I'm heading with this. It's Benjamin Yahoo. The plot was staring us in the face, and we couldn't see it. We could not see it, ladies and gentlemen. So I sympathise with anybody who's lost money in the stock market through these plotters, this dastardly plot. Now, I've uncovered this through a process not unlike that of a man who you're probably familiar with, Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, a man who is a true international man of mystery and intrigue. Now, Julian Assange, I learned something very interesting about him recently. And it's to do with his name as well, because his name is Julian Paul Assange. And through further research, I've discovered that those two given names, Julian and Paul, in whichever order, indicate a man of great intellect, great wit, of charm and charisma. And with that comment, ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to say that this is Paul Julian Marnie signing off for the evening.